All right, good morning, Uplift Church. I love that song, How Great Thou Art, and just it's an amazing day. And I don't know, I'm just excited about what God's doing. I'm so excited about today because we started this whole new series called Man Up. And I'm a little bit jealous because in our graphic here, we got a man that's got the rocking beard, and I cannot grow a beard. And I am so jealous of anybody that can grow a beard. I can grow like 8 hairs right here and 3 up here, and that's all I got. And I work with a guy. He can shave in the morning. By the end of the day, he's got Grizzly Adams going on. It's ridiculous. And I'm like, man, my dad can rock it. My brother can rock it. And I'm like, God, where's my facial hair? I got 4 kids. No hair. Just it's done. But there's something about being a man that is absolutely awesome. And as we go through this series, you're going to see that there's going to be different parts of this that's going to speak to you in many different ways. And before you get nervous and think it's all going to be directed just towards men, it's not, because it's going to be go for men, women, children, and all. Because for women, it's going to be helping you understand your role, but also as men, it's going to help us understand what our roles are. And then also for kids, understanding about where we're going towards, and also what we need to look for. And if we all can think back that at some point in our time that we were with the wrong person, and we all would agree with that. So we need to look for the right things. And so this series is going to be absolutely awesome, talking about men. And what we're going to do is each week we're going to be talking about a different man. And today we're talking about something very specific and something we all have to deal with. Talking about the working man. Because we all have to work for something. And of course we work and we have to pay bills and house and food and groceries. We have to work for these things. But there's something about the value of a good day's work. Now, growing up, I thought my dad was Mr. Evil because we would have to wake up on Saturday and we would work the farm. None of my friends want to stay over at my house on Friday night because if they did, they got up Saturday morning, they worked the farm. At school, they said, don't go to PJ's house. His dad will put you to work. That was my life growing up. We worked on the farm. we worked on the farm, and we had a garden, a big garden. We had hay, and we had cattle, and we had tobacco. If you worked on the farm, you worked on tobacco, cattle, hay. Just raise your hand up. I had quite a few of you. I mean, it's hard work and all the sweat. But man, going back, I wouldn't have traded those days for anything because we were all out there together as a family. Me, mom, dad, my brother, my sister, and we was all out there working, and it was funny. And I would, me and my brother would sometimes we'd fight and argue about who was going to do what, and we would set tobacco, and the person who was behind it, would trail or pigtail it. And we was doing pretty good, and everything was set, and so Dad had me picking up rocks. So I was picking up rocks in front of the tractor going on. It was pretty cool because it was kind of fun because we had this big bucket on the front of the tractor and I could just throw them in it. And Dad let me and it was all good. But then my brother decided that he wanted to throw rocks too. So he just jumped off the tobacco setter. And then, so here's my sister going on there like going as fast as she possibly can. And she's hollering out, Dad! Because sometimes you have to make fun at work and enjoy it. And that's part of our childhood and growing up. And it's just something about that. Now, looking back, I cherish those days, but at the time, I did not like my dad. And growing up, he was probably the same way. You didn't like any of those chores or any of those jobs, but looking back, like, man, it really helped me, shape me into who I am today and like the value of a hard day's work. And I know that we're all working for the day that we can finally say, you know what, I don't have to work, but I've learned something. See, my parents, they have retired. And they've become snowbirds. And so they downsized and got rid of everything that basically they had. They own 3 things, a truck, a camper, and a car. And I thought, man, my parents, they're going to take it easy. They're going to sit up, and they're going to take it easy. But I tell you, my parents work harder now that they're retired than they ever did when they was working. Like, I can't keep up. It's tough. And it's just something about that value of work and accomplishment that we work. And I know that we all have these jobs, and sometimes your job, you're probably like, man, I really don't want to work today, or I don't want to adult today, or, I really don't want to give this my all. But we have to do that. We can't just show up to work and sleep. We have to work. And as we work, it kind of turns us in, it kind of develops into who we are. So we have to work. So I want to ask you this. How many of you would say that you work hard. Now, you said you go to work, but do you work hard? Work hard. And I mean, sometimes it may be physical, but I'm telling you, there's a lot of mental jobs out there that will absolutely drain you, because if you have to deal with people, you work hard. Because they will suck the living life out of you. I'm telling you, like a mosquito to your skin, it just, yes, absolutely. And you come home, and it feels like your fingertips are dragging the ground, and you cannot get to the recliner and get you a sweet tea fast enough. And it doesn't matter what's on TV, as long as it's on. And you can just be sitting there, brain dead. And if you're like me, you can tune everything else out. And you can just watch that and just sink into a hole. And the next thing you know, you see the back of your eyelids. It's a value of a hard day's work. You come in, and the life is drained out of you. And it's just like, well, guess what we get to do? You know, next morning we get to get up and put another hard 8 or 10 or 12 or 14, how many ever hours you work. And that's what we do. We work hard. And this value of working hard and all is something that we all need to really understand and take heed on. Because sometimes we don't always give things our very best. Or we try to find cheap ways out of it, or ways that we can kind of skirt around it or not work as hard. And so what I'm going to do during this series is that each week I'm going to have a different man come up on stage. Now, these men are not just any men. Each week I'm going to have a different man that's going to help me enforce and teach what's going to be the main subject for that week. And this week we're talking about the working man. And so the men that I bring up here on stage are men that speak into my life and that you can trust. And today, who's going to help me on the stage is a good friend of mine, Mr. Rodney Baker. Would y'all show him some love? Welcome to the stage. Now, me and Rodney, we've talked quite a bit, and me and Rodney, we have something in common, because I have all girls, and Mr. Rodney Baker, he has all girls. It's pretty awesome. So we have a lot of fun, a lot of things in common. And so we've talked a lot about the value of hard work, and if I have any question about raising girls, this is who I go to. And he can relate, because he has girls and worries about the same thing that I do. And Rodney, I know that we've talked a lot about work and the value of hard work, and these values that we want to teach to our kids. Do you care to share with everybody about that same thing you want to teach to your kids?
Well, I guess one of the things that came up when the girls were young, we were in a class at church where we went before, and it was for parents of younger kids. And one of the questions came up, what was something you'd like for your kids to learn? And, kind of came around everybody, and it came around to me. I said, well, the value of a hard day's work. And I got strange looks. Actually, very strange, and it's kind of like I had two heads. And I thought, wow, that's something I just think that we need to convey to our kids, that I look at everything we have as a gift from God. Everything we have comes from God. And yet, sometimes they're all wrapped up like a package and you just open it. Other times He sends us an opportunity that we have to do something. We have to work to make something out of it. So, that's something that I hopefully have conveyed to my girls, that they need to be able to put in a hard day's work sometimes.
And as kids, they don't necessarily want to hear that either, do they?
No. I think sometimes they work harder to avoid work than possibly the work. And when Emily was little, we'd ask her to do something, and she would say, "You're making me very tired." And she hadn't done anything yet. But,
so just the thought of it.
Just the thought.
Well, where did you come by your work ethic and your value of a good day's work?
Well, I guess certainly Mom and Dad were really the ones that, growing up, we went to some ball games and we did some fun things and we had a picnic here and there and things. But there were a lot of times when my granddad had a farm over on the Clinch River around Hill Station, and there was hay, we had cattle, we raised tobacco, there was a sawmill. So there was a little bit of everything that you could work year-round, and that's what we did. We would come home from school and dinner would be ready, and you knew what was up. If you come home and the dinner's on the table, you're headed to the farm, and early in the mornings, and things like that. And certainly didn't. I don't think I enjoyed it at the time, as didn't realize it anyway. And then kind of come to finally realize that was the time we spent together. I look back now and think, boy, what great times it was. That we did things together. And Mom worked as hard as Dad. Actually, she probably did more because she had to get everything lunch ready and put those cans of potted meat in the cooler and in the bags. And it's like, oh goodness. But looking back now, I see just how great that time was together. And even now, when I'm off, Dad will call me up, usually in the morning, and say, "What are you going to do today? What you got going on today?" And he wants to know what kind of work I'm doing. He don't want to know if I'm doing some fun. He wants to know what kind of work I'm doing. Sometimes he'll say, "Well, I might be able to come help you." And he's 80 years old, but sometimes he'll come help me do things, and he enjoys it, and I enjoy it. So
This is something about that work.
it is.
Well, what would you say that working has benefited you as a man? How has that benefited you?
Well, I think that there are, we know in this life there are trials. God sends things, there's challenges and things that we come up. And I look at like a class. If there were only the final at the end, we wouldn't really know what to expect. But having those challenges, the things that God puts in front of us through our lives that we have to overcome. We may have to work hard. We may have to. It may be just hitting our knees in prayer. But those things where you give that effort, you really do all that you can. I see that as a benefit, and then I think the relationships. Obviously, you get to know people better by working with them than just about anything else. That's how you really get to know people. It's hard when you're just, kind of small talk passing people in church. But I know we talked about this last year. We helped David Smith move, and I've helped a lot of people move, and that was the hardest move I've ever been involved in because there was a handful of us.
Yeah, there's like 6 of us.
Yeah, and some ladies.
Yeah.
Who worked just as hard as we did too, and we showed up in that afternoon, and there was a 2-story house, and we started moving all the big stuff out of it. And about 7 o'clock, I said, we're going to get a pretty good start on this. And he said, no, we've closed. We have to be out today. And I thought, oh goodness, there's still a lot. But at the end of it, I think it's about 11 o'clock that night when we were finished. We had everything in the other house. And I was leaving. I told David, I said, I had a good time. And I meant that. I mean, I said at the end of it, I said, I had a good time because we did something together. And you know what it is? It's service. Yeah. Whether it's to somebody else, you all have helped me do things. Yeah. And men from the church. So I think that ability to build a relationship is really important. And I think work is just the way that often we do that.
It is. It binds you close together. And this move that he's talking about that we helped David Smith, our youth pastor, you just heard from a few minutes ago, we got to his house, we was unloading. And this was around 10 o'clock, and we're still unloading these trucks. And, we were just exhausted because it was so hot, and we were just wringing with sweat. And David Smith, he said, hey, how would you think if I got everybody pizza and everything? I went, absolutely not. Let's just get this stuff unloaded and let everybody go home. And it was a lot of fun.
It was, and of course I took off the next day. I don't know, but I said, I think I'm not going into work tomorrow. That was just a sleep-in day, and then rest up the next day.
It was a lot of hard work. But it was fun. Do you have anything else you have to share with anybody about anything when it comes to hard work?
Well, and I would certainly say there are a lot of people who work harder than me. So it's not so much that, but like I say, I think that it's one of those things that God has given us that sense of satisfaction. I talk to the girls sometimes about there's a good kind of tired when you can see what you've done and what you've accomplished and what you try to do quality work too, that it is something that will stand up. And I'm kind of known to over-engineer things, and that's just the way I like to do things. But like I say, that when if you look at Genesis, the story of creation, God, when He did the creation, He looks at that it was good. And I think that's something that we can do too, that we look at things that we accomplish, whether it be, hard work or serving in something else in the church, or like, David was talking about, David Smith, about the youth. We see, kids being baptized and kids being saved. Well, that's an accomplishment. And then we know God does that. We know that God's the one ultimately responsible for that. But just the fact that we've contributed, that He's been able to use us to do something for His kingdom, that's just a satisfaction that it's in here.
It is, and it's overwhelming that God would use us. Rodney, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming, guys. Rodney Baker. And like you said, it's not that we're trying to say that we work harder than anybody else, but there's something valued about a hard day's work. And everybody does a different job, and we have different roles and all of that. And we're not here to preach to you just to tell you that, hey, you need to step it up. But I want you to take pride in what you do. And the Bible speaks so clearly about work. And we're going to share a few verses with you today. And it starts in Genesis. And God kind of set the standard for our work and what to do. And that's kind of what we're going to go through this today. Because work, it's vitally important. And if somebody doesn't do something, then you're going to feel the effects of it. For example, if you're on city water and just the city water department doesn't show up to work that day, it's not going to be a good day for you. My brother works with the sewage part, so when you flush the toilet and it leaves your house, you can thank him. But if his department didn't show up that day and everything backed up, it's a really bad day for you. So we all depend upon one another, and we function together, and there's no job that's higher above the other. But God sets these standards for us, and this is amazing. This is Genesis 1:1. Because a lot of times we want to try to get, He said that we'll spend more effort getting out of work than working. And this is kind of what the very beginning, very first verse. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. He made this, and this is like my favorite part of this, is that God made something out of nothing. Now, what kind of man can do that? That your loved one could just come to you and say, hey, I want this, and you can just go, there's an apple tree right there where you want it. That's what God did. And it's so amazing. He did that on the very first day. God made it. He made it. He had to create it. He had to work. God worked. Okay, on the second day, so the first day He made the heavens and the earth. On the second day, God made the sky. Now, yesterday it was so pretty and blue and there wasn't a cloud in the sky. And I thought, man, God made that? I wonder what would happen if we would have made that. There'd be a splash of color here. Or, like in kindergarten when you color something, especially in the sky, and you color it and there's holes in it. It doesn't look quite as good. You get out of the lines. Like, I just wonder, what if God just halfway made the sky? Like, He just left part of it out. Like, He didn't have to go back and redo any of it. He made it perfect. God made the sky. Then on day 3, He made the land, oceans, and all the planets. Day 4, He made the sun, the moon, and the stars. The 5th day, He made the birds, the fishes, and the sea animals. In the 6th day, He made land animals and people. God worked. He worked, and He set the example to us to work. And you may be sitting there and thinking, man, I got a job, lay off. That's great. I'm just encouraging you and telling you this is the one most important thing that we can do as individuals, and especially as men, is that we work. That we were created to work. And God set this example for us. He worked, and He had to work at building all of this. And it didn't just happen. He had to make it. He created it. God had to work. He created all this. Now, with this work, He set some standards. He set some standards. So if you flip over to Genesis chapter 2, here's the standards for your work, because you may say, I got a job, I show up. And you got to do more than just show up. You have to work. So in Genesis chapter 2, it starts at verse 20. It says, so the creation of the heavens and the earth and everything in it then was completed. Completed. On the 7th day, God had finished His work of creation, so He rested from all of His work. And God blessed the 7th day and declared it holy, because it was the day when He rested from all His work of creation. So two things here. One, God completed his work. And I already told you growing up we worked on the farm. And every 15, 20 minutes, me and my brother would ask, it's break time. It's break time. Because my mom, she would bring down this homemade lemonade. It wasn't like Kool-Aid. It was lemonade with floating lemons in it and like a whole bag of sugar. It was great. And she brought these great big oatmeal cream pies. They were huge. And all of us work on the farm, we love to see Mom's car coming down to the barn because we knew what she had waiting on us was this great big old thing of lemonade and these great big old oatmeal cream pies. So me and my brother would be like, it's break time, Dad. It's break time. It's break time. And here's what he would always say. We'll rest when the work's done. We'll take a break when the work's done. We can work hard now, and then we can break all the rest of the evening. And me and John, we was throwing rocks and snotting and spitting. And we were just so mad. But what he's trying to set the example was what God said. Complete the work. We can't take a break every 15 minutes. There's work to be done. So God set this example that he had completed his work. He finished his work. Now here's why this is so important. And I want you to think about this. Anybody can start a project. Anybody can. Anybody can start a landscaping project at their house. Anybody can start refinishing their floors or laying down hardwood floors or redoing a bathroom or doing the roof. Anybody can start something. But it takes a real man and a real woman to finish what they start. And God set this example. You rest when the work is done. That's what he did after this. So after he completed all, he worked for 6 days straight. And I don't know how many hours he worked. I can't imagine how many hours it took to make all the planets and the stars. I'm imagining God spent some time. You know why I think that? It's because everything is perfect. Perfect. He didn't halfway do any of it. He perfectly created it. And after he was done, then he said, okay, now we can rest. So when this clicked with me and my brother, we would work, we worked our butts off. And we would do it the very best it could possibly be done. Me and my brother would be like 12 and 13 years old, and we were out working 18-year-old football players. We were working hard. And then every little bit, Dad, what do you need next? What do you need next? What we got to do next? And he'd say, well, we got to do this and this and this. All right, let's do this. You do this. Let's go get it done. So here we were bossing around 18-year-old guys, and we're saying, come on, guys, let's go. Let's get to work. And these 18-year-old football players were like, man, I'm so tired. And my brother would be like, suck it up. He's 12 years old. He's saying, suck it up, guys. Let's get to work. And we're trying to get done. And finally, Dad said, all right, this is it. We're done. And we would hightail it. We had one of those swimming pools that was above the ground, clothes on and everything. And we would just run and just jump in because we were full of sweat and we wanted to break. You rest when the work's done. So what does that teach us about God? First of all, is that we're to work. But the second part of it is that we need to work hard. We need to finish that work that we start. Don't just start something. We finish it. And church, this goes to all aspects of our lives. All aspects of our lives. When are you done raising your kids? You ain't. You're never done. It evolves. I don't know how it changed, but somehow it changed to where my dad became, instead of being my dad, he became my dad and my best friend. There was a change that took place there. You're never done. We need to work hard. When you finish that work, keep working hard. Finish that work. And then at the end of it, then you can take a break. That's what he did, is that finally he rested from all those days of creation. All those days of creation. And you may be thinking, well, you don't know what I do. Like I'm a computer guy. So if you come to my office and see me working, most of the time I'm sitting at my desk. And it may look like I'm not doing anything, but I promise you, the gears are going. I promise you. So there's not about necessarily the physical, although some of it is physical. There's something about the quality of work in which we do, and Rodney alluded to this too. Back to Genesis 1. He said this after he created the light. He said, then God said, let there be light in verse 3. And there was light. And God saw that the light was good. Then he separated the light from the darkness. It was good. It was good work. Now, I don't know about you, but there's something that just a feeling of accomplishment. Whenever after you're doing something, you're building a deck, you get done mowing something, and especially with the man, I don't know what it is, but there's something about your chest just puffs up. You just walk, and you're like, I just mowed that. Oh man, it feels good. Readjusting your belt, making sure your fly's up. Yep. I did that. You're strutting in the house. You're just waiting for the wife to hear those words. Hey, honey, you did a good job. You're daggone right I did. Oh, man, it looks good. We do a good job. And I may be exaggerating a little bit, but I'm telling you, we do that. There's a sense of accomplishment. We can look at our work that's done, and it's done. I remember coming home, and my wife, she had reorganized all these clothes. And as soon as I got home, she's like, look what I did today. Look what I did. And all these bins were organized. Here's this age group and this age group, and we got this size and this size and this size. And she's like, look what I did. Man, you've been busy. She said, yes, I have. And teach school, and 4 kids, and I fed them lunch. A good job. See, it's more than just about showing up to a job. It's more than about showing up to work, but about doing a good job. We don't just halfway do it. We do it, and we do it right. Church, if we're not going to do something right, why do it at all? Do it right. And you're better off doing it right the first time instead of having to go back and redoing it. Oh, man, that's the worst spot. Man, I keep picking on my dad because all this is bringing back memories. All this stuff bringing back memories. And so before we learned about this work ethic, we'd go and we'd halfway do something. We'd see these tobacco plants, and I always trailed, and I would see them, and I would be so mad. And I'd be like, man, if people wouldn't smoke or dip, we wouldn't have to make this stuff. And I just huff, and I just kick it. And I'm like, curse you, tobacco. And I just walk on. I was like, you know what? I ain't touching you. Then my dad, he kept his eye on the previous row. And he would holler over top of that diesel tractor, and he'd go, hey, PJ, you missed one. Daggone it, why did he see that? Okay, I'm going to fool him. So I'd fix that one in the back, and I would go 3 or 4 rows over, and then I would just take that trowel, and I would just stab it. Daggone it, if we passed by, he didn't see that one over there too. I couldn't get nothing by. But what he was trying to teach us is if we're going to do something, do it right. We do it right. Man, when this clicked, me and my brother, we would outwork anybody. And we were like, we're going to do it. We're going to do it right. We're going to do it right the first time. We're going to build something. We're going to build it right. We're going to build it right the first time. We're going to do something. We're going to do it right. We don't have the right tool. We're going to get the right tool. We're going to do it right. Because a screwdriver is not a hammer. If you need a screwdriver for the job, use a screwdriver. If you need a hammer, go get you a hammer. Flip-flops are not hammers. The thing about it is, we've all done it. Well, I just got to tap it in the wall. Go get you a hammer. Right tools make all the difference. So we can have this good work. God looked at His creation. It was good. And I'm not saying that God had his chest puffed out and looked at all of it, but I believe He looked at it. He saw that it was good. It was good. He did a good work. It was good. It was a good work. And we need to take pride in what we do. As we do this, it will come back on us. Now here's a perfect example. A friend of mine, he was a cable installer for Charter. He would go and he would install cable in houses. Run wires all through, and there was specific code and things and rules that they had. The cables would have to be tacked up, and it would look neat, and everything would be labeled, and it would be good. And so a couple years later, we made friends with this other guy, and he was having trouble with his cable. And he said, hey, Dale, my cable ain't working. Can you come over and see what's up? And he went, yeah, give me the address. So he goes to his house, and he pulls in the driveway, and he went, oh, man, I did this cable install like 5 years ago. And he's telling this to my buddy, Casey. He's like, man, I installed this cable here. And Casey said, well, we're going to see how good of a job you did, because it ain't working. So they crawled underneath the house, and he said everything was done exactly right. He said, I was so proud of myself because when I did it right the first time 5 years ago, I didn't know that I'd be back in that same house. He said, it goes to show you when you do something, do it right. Do a good work. Church, it's something about the value of a good day's work, a hard day's work, and that it's done right. Somebody shouldn't have to come back behind your work. Well, we need to go see if Tommy, make sure he's done that right. That should never have to happen. What should happen is when somebody says, all right, we had Tommy on that job, and somebody say, well, if Tommy was on it, it was done right. Church, we are representing God. And if Christians are not going to do something right, when we're supposed to set the example and the standards, then what kind of example are we showing to people? I mean, we're representing God Almighty. It better be done right. Because He didn't mess up on us. And He's not giving up on you. So we're going to do a good work. We're going to work hard. We're going to do it right. This quality of work. You'll be thinking, well, I don't sweat or anything like that at my job. That's okay. Do your job and do it right, because God made us to work. And he set this example in Genesis. And you may be like, well, this is God. Of course, you know, he made everything that's going to be done right. But he gave a job to man. And if you look, this is in Genesis chapter 2:15. I love this. Because on that sixth day, God made these land animals, and he created people. He made man and woman. And then he put them into the Garden of Eden. I love this. Genesis 2:15. It says, the Lord God placed the man in the Garden of Eden to tend and watch over it. Now, the Garden of Eden was perfect, and we know that. But still yet, he had to work it. He still had to tend to it. He still had to care for it. God set man here to work. We're meant to work. We're meant to work. And as we work, we're going to accomplish it. And we're going to take care of it. And we're going to receive a reward for it. If we don't work, we don't get the reward. Every now and then we do something for the girls and have them to do, we call them jobs. They do a job. And they don't get paid for doing dishes or housework. We all do that together as a family. But if there's something extra, we'll do that. And so I came home and I said, guys, our cars are really nasty. They're full of trash. Most of it's your trash, but they're full of trash and you vacuum it out. You know, y'all want to make some money. Well, two of them said yes, and the other two said no. But when it come time for payday, they all wanted to get paid, even though they didn't work. And the man was like, nope, you didn't work, so you don't get it. And this frown came upon Natty Cake's face like, I don't like this. And I guarantee you, next time, she's going to work. We tend to it. That's why I like this verse. One of the wisest men on earth was King Solomon. You know, he instead of asking for riches, he asked for wisdom. And this is what he said. This is Proverbs 6. I love this. Love this. Proverbs 6, verse 6. He says, take a lesson from the ants. I love this. Take a lesson from the ants, you lazy bones. Learn from their ways and become wise. Though they have no prince or governor or ruler to make them work, they labor hard all summer, gathering food for the winter. But you lazy bones, I love that, lazy bones. How long will you sleep? When will you wake up? A little extra sleep, a little more slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest. Verse 11, then poverty will pounce on you like a bandit, and scarcity will attack you like an armed robber. What is he saying here? We're meant to work. We are meant to work, and not just work, not just show up. I mean, you can't just go and your boss comes to you and says, why ain't this done? You're like, I'm here, ain't I? That's not going to go over too well. You got to work. I think probably anybody in the healthcare industry probably has some of the most strenuous jobs. I mean, they can't just show up and the patient's care be taken care of. They got to work. They got to work. Bus drivers have I don't know how bus drivers do it, but somehow they're able to get on a bus and drive a bus load of rowdy, rambunctious, paper airplane, spit wad throwing kids to school and come back home and eat breakfast with their wife with a smile on. I don't know how they do that. But they just didn't show up. We can't just show up. We got to work. That's why I like that. He says, you lazy bones, what do you think's going to happen? What do you think's going to happen if you don't work? We're supposed to work. We're supposed to work. Paul said this in 2 Thessalonians chapter 3. I like this. He said, even when we were with you, we gave this command to you. Those unwilling to work will not eat. Yet, we hear that some of you are living idle lives, refusing to work and meddling in other people's business. We command such people and urge them in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ to settle down and work to earn their own living. As for the rest of you, dear brothers and sisters, never get tired of doing good. I love that. Good work. There's a value in a good work. Roddy mentioned that whenever you get home in the evening, there's something to be valued about a good tired when you can say that you put in a good day's work. Work. We were meant to work. Now what's unique about Uplift Church is that all of our leaders, every one of us, we're all bivocational. We don't just have the church. We all work. We're all busy. And I know that some of you work 12 hours, you work swing shifts, and sometimes, man, you just want to complain about it so bad. I encourage you not to. I encourage you to do this last part of this. Never get tired of doing good. Show up and do your job. We all could find something to complain about our work. Yes, there's times that it gets stressful. Yes, there's times that you just do not want to go. Take the day off. That's why you get vacation, so that you can take a break, and come back refreshed. Work hard. A friend of mine works at Domtar, and he has to work like so many days a week and 8-hour days, and it's unreal how much he works. And yet, he probably has the worst schedule of anybody that I've ever met. And I've not heard him say one bad thing about that place. Not one. I think it's because of this. Never get tired of doing good. Man, whatever your job is, do it with all your heart. Because if we're not going to do it with all we've got, then why bother to do it at all? You're setting an example for your kids. All the complaining, the belly aching, you're setting an example. The people you work with, you're setting an example. Work hard. And I know that many of you, you're like, well, I don't want to work. I'm working for retirement. Yes, we all are. We're all working towards retirement. But right now, we're meant to work. As we look through the Bible, we can see so many things about work. And God always calls people who work. And they work hard. Moses was a shepherd. He worked hard. Elisha, he was a farmer. When God called him in the ministry, he was actually behind the plow of oxen, plowing the fields. And Elijah came back and he said, hey, God's called you into the ministry. He went, okay. And he left the stuff and went. Said goodbye to his families. He left. He went. He was working. David was a shepherd. Peter, Andrew, James, and John, they were fishermen. Matthew worked for the government. Luke was a doctor. Paul made tents. And the message of the birth of Jesus, now listen to this, the message of the birth of Jesus, the most important birth announcement ever, came to a bunch of shepherds when they were in the field working. We were meant to work, church. And as we were meant to work, meant to do a good job, work hard, that we can have the quality of work. And I'm not saying that everything your work is going to be sweat involved. Some of it is. But that you'd have a quality of work and that you can look back and say, man, I've done this and I gave it my best. I worked hard. I've worked hard. Look at what I've done. I've done it. There's something about it. Working hard. And we all have different jobs. We all have different things. And I was going to share some of these with you because I asked the parents that they would go around and just get some people just to write down where they work and what do they do. And I've already looked through these. I got some pretty cool answers. Pretty cool answers on here. Here's one's a Mac News doing logging. We need loggers. Work at Eastman, electrician. I like this one. I work at a warehouse, stack it deep and sell it cheap. Love that. That's awesome. Here's another a physical therapy services, occupational therapy assistant. Important job. TECI, construction of management. Doctor's office, put out fires. That's a good one. Quest Diagnostics, medical courier. This is an important job. A stand coordinator, supervisor over medical records at HMG and help to ensure that patients' records are placed in their charts so that the nurses and doctors have them for patient care. That's an important job. You don't want somebody else's heart results. You want yours. You'd be 38 years old. I'm sorry, you have the heart of a 68-year-old. This is an important Wellmont, Houston Valley Medical Center, ICU nurse. Kinder Care Learning Center, a pre-K teacher. That's not challenging at all. MEOC site manager, retired U.S. Army. Check that out. We have one who's disabled. Wellmont Medical Center, Ed Shift coordinator for admissions department. SMO first operator, Eastman. I like this one. Houston Valley Medical Center, or Wellmont. I'm an RN and a whole lot, and I love the summary. I save lives. That's pretty good. Doctor's office, accounts receivable, Houston Valley, nurse educator, BAE, planning and scheduling, CTG. I show doctors that computers are not evil. I like this one. So the question was, where do you work and what do you do? Now listen to this. So where do you work? Home. What do you do? A lot. I'm not going to tell you that was my wife's, but it was. One Main Financial, a personal loan specialist. Work at Ferguson. What do I do? Serve, lead, and follow. City of Johnson City, an accountant. Work, Wellmont Cancer Institute, infusion nurse. That's an important job. What do I do? RN, husband, father, and Jesus follower. I hope I say this right. Franciscus Medical Care. I take care of patients on dialysis, patient care. Eastman, customer service rep, slave to the customer. Another Eastman chemical company, chemical operator. Place of employment, Hillview Health and Rehab. Occupation, certified occupational therapy, helping people recover, regain function during activities of daily living, self-care. That's an important job. Stay-at-home wife and mom, laundry, lots of laundry. Retired. Don't have to do anything, so I do what I want and what God leads me to do. I like this. I work at home. I build things. I formerly worked as a teacher at Scott County Career and Tech Center, and I taught computer networking. All different kinds of jobs. And I know that we didn't get everybody on that because we ran out of note cards, but we work. Some of those are kind of comical. We work. We work. And as we work, there's value in this work. As we go through life, we're meant to work. Kids, you've got a few years left in school. Some of you just graduated. And you have the world wide open in front of you. It's meant for you to work. Find something you're going to do, something you enjoy to do, and work. Work. Now the question is how does this message, how does this apply to us today? Well, there's three things I want you to get from this. And first one, I'm going to speak to just the men. And some of you men, it's time for you to get to work. I mean, buckle down and work. That you can come home and your wife can look at you and know that she has a working man. Work hard. Do this work. Do a good job. Don't let anybody have to come back and redo your job. Do it right. Honor God with everything that you do. Honor your family. Because you're representing on the job site, you're representing yourself, you're representing your family, and you're representing God Almighty. Let's do it right. Let's be men of honor and integrity. You know, when people look at our work, they can say, I guarantee you that so-and-so done this. Do a good job. Work hard. Work hard. Do it right. Ladies, some of you are looking for a man. And I'm going to tell you, here's what you need to be looking for according to the Bible. You need to be looking for a working man. A man that works hard, that takes pride in his work. Because if he takes pride in his work, he's going to take pride in you. I'm going to say that again. All you ladies looking for a man, look for a working man. Because if he takes pride in his work, he'll take pride in you. You can take that to the bank. Some of you are already married. So what I encourage you to do is you praise your working man. When he comes in all strutting from mowing the yard, give him a glass of tea and say, okay, honey, you did a good job. Don't burst his bubble. But praise him, and he'll praise you as well for your work. Men, praise your ladies for all that they do. I don't know, we couldn't function. We couldn't do half the things that we do if it wasn't for them. Rodney mentioned that his mom probably worked the hardest, and I'd say that my mom probably did her fair share. My granny, too. She was halfway blind, and she would still fix supper for everybody working on or lunch for everybody working on the farm. Work hard. Just do a good job. Whatever you do a good job. We're going to work. We're going to work hard. So, ladies, we're going to be praising our men, and we're going to be looking for the working man, because this is huge, because you don't want what it said in Proverbs. When it said, look to the ant, you lazy people. We don't want that. We shouldn't. When we comment and people say something about their husbands and they say, man, my husband is a lazy, I can't get him off the lazy boy. You can say, mine's a working man. We don't want that. We want to look for the working man. Work hard. Now, all you kids, teens, and college, and this is the time when I really want you to pay attention. Because this next part is all about you, and I want to encourage everybody else who's working right now. You have to work hard. Nothing in life is going to be easy. It's not going to be handed to you. You've got to work hard. Everything that you've got, everything that your parents got, everything that your parents have given you, it's been by the back-breaking work and the sweat that they have poured out on you. You've got to work hard. You've got to work hard. Nothing replaces hard work. Nothing. Now, I've got some pictures that I'm going to show you, and these are some people that you may recognize. And this first thing I want to show you, you can probably recognize him. This is Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's what I look like without my shirt on. So I don't show anybody up, I'll keep it on. I'm just kidding. Arnold Schwarzenegger, he got his big start as a bodybuilder. He worked hard. He came from nothing. Came from absolutely nothing. He would sleep 6 hours a day. The rest of the time he was working, preparing. He was asked early in his career what his goals were. He said, I want to be the biggest name in bodybuilding. I want to be the biggest name in Hollywood, and I'm going to have some kind of government office. And he accomplished all of his goals. He became a star, the governor of California. And here's his advice to everyone. Listen to this. His advice. When he asked, what do you have advice for anybody out there that sees you and your success? Here's what he said. Work hard. It's not going to be handed to you. You got to work hard. Work hard. You can't look like that eating cheesecake watching TV. This next one is well known. Jamaican, Usain Bolt. He is the fastest sprinter and one of the most decorated sprinters there are, Olympic sprinters. It's amazing how fast this guy can run. He said this. He said, competition is easy, but it's behind the scenes where the work is done, not the podium. The podium is the flash. But the real work, again, he's talking about work. Some of you men and ladies, you might know this guy. This is Conor McGregor. He is the most decorated UFC fighter. He absolutely came from nothing. He's almost seemed like he is fearless, came from nothing. And he's one bad dude. He is hugely successful, and here's what he says. He says, you just can't beat hard work. Now, these are successful people. They're millionaires now. Millionaires. All three of these. And they got this way because of hard work. Now, can you imagine now what would happen if we would work hard? Could you imagine what kind of difference that can make in our communities, in our world? What kind of example we're going to be setting for our kids to work hard? Not work less, work hard. Now, I've heard a lot of people say they want to work hard so they can have their kids to have things so they don't have to work. I think we're wrong there. We need to teach our kids to work because nothing is going to be handed to them. Even when you stand at the marriage altar and you're getting married and you're looking at your loved one eye to eyeball, there's nothing more hard work than marriage. We got to work hard at that. Being a parent is hard work. You got to pull yourself into that. It's hard work. You want to accomplish, you want to make something yourself, it's going to take hard work. You can't just take all your money and bank it on the lottery. You have a small chance of winning. You want to make it, you got to work hard. And I'm not telling you to be millionaires like these guys. That's not what I'm telling you to be. Because you can be happy. You can be happy doing anything as long as you live within your means. But there's something to be valued about a good day's work, a hard day's work. Quality of work. Could you imagine what would happen? What would happen in your life? In your life if you would work hard? You'd work hard. Man, the ladies in your life, they shouldn't have to beg you to do something. There should be an honor and a trust there. We work hard. She works hard. You work hard, she'll praise you. She works hard, you praise her. Work hard. Could you imagine what would happen if we would do this and we would work hard? That we would contribute to society, that we'd have something to offer to society, that we could contribute to our communities, that we contribute to our church, that we would work hard at it. Work. We're meant to work. Men were meant to work. The working man. You may be still thinking, I just don't know how this applies to me. Here's what I don't want you to do. I just don't want you to settle. Don't just skate by through life. I mean, go at it hard. Give it all you got. You may be saying, well, I'm a stay-at-home mom. Yes. Then you take that house, that is your kingdom. That is your throne. Not just the white thing you sit on, the whole place. That's yours. Clean it, honor it. This is yours. Take pride in it. Men, honor your wives. Honor the lady in your life. Just don't want you to skate by. Life's too short for this. One day we're going to give an account for our bodies and how we work and how we hard work, how we work for God. Now, Solomon said over here, and he called them other guys lazy bones. I can't stand it when somebody calls me lazy. Because I'm anything but. Anything but. Work hard. Don't skate by. Don't settle. Just don't settle. Work hard. I got two more people that I want to show you. This one he's well known. We know him from Rocky. Because I believe if we could follow your examples and not settle, I think we can change the world. Sylvester Stallone, he was dirt poor. He was living in a house full of people, had to sleep on the floor for $20 a night. Over a period of 3 days, he wrote this movie script, Rocky. He was trying to make it as an actor. He was terrible. Sylvester Stallone is an Italian. So he went to go try out for this movie part. All he was going to be was one of 400 people as an extra in an Italian mob movie. He was just going to be an extra. But he had to try out for the part. And the director said, Sylvester, you just ain't got it. He's like, what part of Italian didn't get an extra behind the scenes of an Italian mob movie? He's like, I'm just not feeling you, man. I think you need to go do something else. He would not give up. He was relentless. So he worked several odd jobs. One job he did is that he would clean out the cages of lions at a zoo. Still trying to work on his movie career, he would scoop out and clean out all the lion stuff from their cages. At night, he was a movie usher, and he would actually walk people to their seats. He had onto this Rocky script, and he was trying to get somebody to produce this movie. Finally, he said, yeah, we'll take a chance on it. We'll produce it. We'll buy it off of you. He said, I don't want to buy it. I will only do it if I can be Rocky. Time after time again, for 3 years, he was turned down and turned down and turned down. And finally, this one director gave him a shot and said, okay, we'll let you be Rocky in this movie. Now remember, he was dirt poor and he turned down all this money. At one time, he was offered $360,000 for this script. And he turned it down because he wanted to be Rocky. Because he didn't turn it down, because he held out, because he didn't settle, he played Rocky. Not only in that movie, but in altogether now told in 5 movies, and altogether now the Rocky franchise is worth $1.3 billion to a man who worked hard, wouldn't settle, and didn't give up. He had to work for it. Oh, and Sylvester Stallone himself, he's worth $400 million himself. Hard work. Nothing replaces hard work. This last guy I want to show you, he's pretty famous. This is Will Smith. He started from nothing in high school. He was in high school, and he actually had a music album that came on the radio in high school. He graduated high school, and his dad said, all right, son, it's time to buckle down and get serious. What do you want to do? He said, Dad, I really want to kind of pursue this music career. And he said, well, I don't think it's there, but I tell you what, let's give it a year. If after a year, if you've done something within a year's time, he said, then you can roll with it. If not, you'll come back, go to college, and get a job. Fair enough, Dad. By the end of the year, he'd produced a record-selling album, landed the TV show that we know as The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, has done numerous movies ever since, and he's had to work hard. Will Smith is now worth $250 million. All because he worked hard. Church, I'm not telling you that you're going to make millions upon millions upon millions, but what I am going to tell you is that nothing replaces hard work. We're meant to work hard. And I don't know where you're at right now in your life, and some of you here are like, man, I do work hard. Keep doing it. Just keep doing what you're doing. For others of you, it's time to step up your game. That you'd quit talking bad about the place that you work and your bosses. Quit cutting them. Start building them up. And just work hard. Set the example where you work to work hard. That when other people see you, like, man, why are you working so hard? Like, this is what I get paid to do. Not paid to sit around. I'm paid to work. I'm going to work. I'm going to do a good day's work. I'm going to show you what it's done. Here's how it's done. I'm going to work hard. Ladies, I encourage you to be looking for the working man who takes pride in his work. Because if he takes pride in his work, he's going to take pride in you. And when everybody else is talking bad about their spouse, guess what he's going to be talking about? His wife. My wife rocks. She's awesome. I can't complain. He's going to be praising and building you up. Men, work hard. Do a good job. Ladies, look for a working man. Takes pride in his work. All you kids, nothing replaces hard work. When you go to college, it's going to take hard work. When you get married, it's going to take hard work. I don't care where you work. I don't care if you work for the sewer system, if you're an electrician, if you're a pole climber, if you're a tree trimmer, if you logger, if you're a paver, If you're one of those guys who stand at the work sites holding the stop and go sign or whatever, I don't know how they do that all day on their feet. They got a tough job. It takes all kinds, but whatever you do, work at it with all your heart. Everything you got. I encourage you to work hard. If you've got a dream, if you've got a goal, if you've got something that you want to get done, don't settle. You work for it. There's many of you that are sitting here today and you came from nothing. Everything that you are right now, because you had to work hard for it. One of the best things that we can teach our kids and our grandkids is the value of hard work. What God teaches us in His Word is the value of hard work. If you would, I'm going to ask you to bow your heads and let's pray together. Father God, as we look to your Word, we see an example you've set before us, that we would work hard. And I pray, Father, right now that you would set a burning desire inside of us that we would work hard, and that as we work hard, we would set an example for others to follow. That they may look at us and we're working whirlwinds around them. That's because we're going to take pride in what we do and we're going to do it right. As you continue to pray, I want to pray for all the men here today. All the men, I want to pray for you. Whatever your job is right now, your role. Maybe the person sitting beside of you is your spouse. Maybe it's your friend. Maybe it's your son, your daughter. I'm going to pray for you. Ladies, I want you right now just to pray for the man beside you. Would you do that? Would you uplift your man? We're going to pray for these men right now. Would you uplift for your man? If you're looking for a man, I want you to pray for your future man. Right now, let's pray for these men. Father God, I pray for the working man. Men that's filled up this room. God, I pray that we would stand strong and bold and upon your word, and that we would be honorable men. That we'd put in a good day's work, the value of a hard day's work. And that we would give our spouse something they can be proud of. We're going to work hard. God, we're representing you and our families and your kingdom, and we are going to work hard. So God, I uplift all the men in here to you today, Father, and I pray, God, that you would just do something great in their lives and fill them up, God, as they work hard and passionately. God, that you would bless them in all their efforts. Father, I pray for all the ladies here today as they support the man in their life, that they would be an encouragement, a helpmate, that as they are workers too, that they would continue to work together to have a family that would bring glory and honor to you. Father, we have some ladies here today and they're looking for that man, that special man, the man of their dreams. And God, we uplift him to you wherever he's at. God, that you prepare his heart to receive them, and that he would continue to value his work, and that these ladies, Father, that they would look for that one who works hard and value his work. Because if he values his work, he's going to value them. As you continue to pray, I want to pray for all of our kids, all of our teens, all those who's graduated, getting ready to go to school, those who's getting ready to go to work. I want to pray for all you. Father, I pray for these youth. God, that they would work hard and know the value of hard work, that nothing is going to be handed to them. God, we talked about several people here at the end, and nothing was handed to them. They had to work hard to get where they're at. And sometimes, God, we're guilty of thinking that we can just be handed stuff without working for it. So, God, I pray that you'd set us on fire. That all of our youth, God, that they would be set on fire to work hard, God, for what you've got before them. And help us, God, as parents and grandparents and cousins and uncles and aunts, that we'll be able to set an example for our kids and our neighbors to follow the value of a good day's work. Because you have called us, God, to be working men. And may we do you justice and bring glory and honor to your name for the value of the work that we put in. God, I pray for everyone that's here that you'd lead us and guide us. And that passionately, God, we would lead our families, and passionately we would go to work. And yes, to God, there's days that we come home and we are dead dog tired. And I pray, Father, that you'd honor us in our labors as we honor you and give it everything that we've got, that we take pride in what we do, and we can look back and say what you did about your creation. It was good. May you lead us and guide us through this week, God, and may we honor you with all of our actions and our thoughts and our words. In the powerful name of Jesus we pray. Amen. You got some awesome praise today. God, I'll